Section 8.2, notes continued. We're factoring x squared plus bx plus c. These are different from the previous notes for section 8.2. Our trinomials look different because we have a greatest common factor in each of these problems. So looking at example 1, we are going to factor 3a squared b minus 18ab minus 81b. Just looking at the coefficients of 3, 18, and 81, we can factor a 3 from both of those. And then looking at the variables, we can factor a b from each term. Factoring out a 3b, we're left with a squared minus 6a minus 27. The trinomial looks like one we have already factored. So the question is, what multiplies to negative 27 and adds to negative 6? 1 and 27, 3 and 9. And let's look at what those signs need to be. To add to a negative 6, we need a negative 9 and a positive 3. Our binomials are a minus 9 times a plus 3, but we need to multiply by that 3b greatest common factor as well. Don't lose that greatest common factor that you already factored out. Example 2. We're going to factor 3x squared minus 6x minus 72. The greatest common factor, in this case, we just have to look at the coefficients of 3, 6, and 72. And we can factor a 3 out. X squared minus 2x minus 24. What multiplies to negative 24? And adds to negative 2. 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. But check the signs. We want them to add to negative 2, so we need a negative 6 and a positive 4. Our binomials are x minus 6 times x plus 4. And we're multiplying by that greatest common factor of 3. Example 3, we're going to factor 4x squared minus 40xy plus 84y squared. With the coefficients, we can factor out a 4. And our trinomial in our parentheses is x squared minus 10xy plus 21y squared. Yes, we have a y squared term. So just like we have an x squared term in the first term in our parentheses is going to be an x. The second term in our parentheses is going to need to include a y. So first let's figure out what multiplies to 21, adds to negative 10. It's going to be negative 3 and negative 7. So our binomials are going to be x minus 3y times x minus 7y. And we need to multiply by the greatest common factor of 4. Example 4, we're factoring y to the 4th minus 3y squared minus 70. There is no greatest common factor to factor out here, so we just need to look at what multiplies to negative 70 and adds to negative 3. Our factors of 70 are 1 and 70, 2 and 35, 7 and 10 are the ones we want. To get a negative 3, we're going to need a negative 10 and a positive 7. But the deal here is we want our first term to be y to the 4th when we multiply. So that means the first term in each set of parentheses must be a y squared term. minus 10 plus 7. Example 5, factor 4x squared y plus 4xy minus 12y. Looking at the coefficients first, we can factor out a 4. And looking at the variables, we can factor out a y. So our trinomial is going to be x squared plus x minus 3. What multiplies to negative 3 and adds to 1? Our factors are 1 and 3. There is nothing that multiplies to 3 and adds to 1. This is the finished factored answer. Example 6, factor 50 plus 20t plus 2t squared. First, rewrite it with the t squared term first. 2t squared plus 20t plus 50. Greatest common factor of those numbers is a 2, so it's 2 times t squared plus 10t plus 25. Now, what multiplies to 25 and adds to 10? 5 and 5. So it's going to be 2 times t plus 5 times t plus 5. Those are the notes for factoring a trinomial when first factoring out the greatest common factor.